coming today. This is a good crowd for 10. This is excellent for 10 o'clock in the morning. This is maybe where we need to be. We'll take it away. Here we go.
Well, hi everybody, my name is Megan. I'm the education specialist from J&R. We're an exotic animal rescue group located in Neenah. That's near Appleton, about 3 hours from here. I know it's a pretty big drive for here, but that's part of what we do is traveling across Wisconsin to not only educate people on pet ownership as well as the species, but also to help with relocating, rehoming, and rescuing animals that don't fit into your normal rescue operations. We take care of the ones that fall into the lizard, the snake, the exotic mammals, birds, fish, turtles, even bugs. We help find those animals new homes. Our motto is surrender, don't release, because we're really big on not allowing animals to be introduced as invasive species, as well as allowing them to have a second chance at a new home. So without any further ado, I'm just going to give you a couple of rules before I get started for my programs. The first one is that I ask that everybody make sure that they are super quiet during the program. I know that some of the younger ones might get a little antsy, and that's okay, but let's make sure that I am the loudest person in this room. Mainly because the animals, if it's too loud or getting too rowdy, they might get a little stressed or agitated, and that means that they're going to want to go back into their little hideaway area here, and that might mean that the program would end short because I go by their rules. Another thing is that I know we're going to have a lot of questions, but let's wait until I ask, does anybody have any questions? And then we can raise our hands. Thank you for being so eager, but we're going to wait just a little bit. Hi guys, go quickly find a spot. You're just in time. The last thing is that I like to say that if we do really, really well during my program, that at the end, I like to save a little chunk of time where we can actually come up and say hi to one or two of my animals, depending on how much time I've got. But then you guys can come up, you can touch them, say hello, ask questions, take pictures with them, and all that fun stuff near the end of it. But again, that's as long as the animals are willing to, because as long as we do a good job, they don't mind hanging out. Then, I guess without any further fanfare, let's get started for today.
I have a word.
Quick question, yeah?
Yeah, I have a question. At the end, I think maybe some animals aren't going to get to touch. Maybe some animals don't want to get pet, but it's okay.
Yes, exactly. Like I said, it's only going to be one or two of them.
Can I pet one?
I'll answer more questions later, okay, guys? Don't you want to see the animals? All right. Then I'm going to get started with the queen of the rescue, as we like to call her. She is as close as we're going to get to a real-life dragon. Kind of. Everybody, meet Jake, the bearded dragon. And her official title is Jake from State Farm. State Farm is her official sponsor at the rescue. So she does have the title Jake from State Farm. Just don't expect her to sell you any insurance. She does not know how to read, write, or what insurance is. So she's just used to sleeping and looking good, as you can tell.
Because animals don't even talk or draw.
Let's remember, I should be the one talking right now, okay, honey? I'll chat with you later. He seems like you're very fun. So, Jake is a bearded dragon. This is a species native to Australia. She can't breathe fire as much as she wishes she could. This is a species that is known for their really, really cool appearances. As you can see, Jake looks like a little orange with legs. That's due to something called human genetic selection, where we kind of sit there and selectively breed animals or do a little bit of matchmaking for animals so that their offspring look really, really pretty. Bearded dragons are called bearded dragons, not because they have a big whisker beard, but because of this little bit of skin underneath their chin on their neck. What a bearded dragon can do is they can turn a part of that neck of theirs pitch black as a way to say, I am upset, or I am grumpy, or in Jake's case, you're 5 minutes late with my lunch. So they use that to communicate with other bearded dragons and other animals. Sometimes they'll use it to flirt. A male bearded dragon will puff up his beard, show a little bit of dark color, and do a little bit of this head bobbing dance to impress a lady, to show how strong he is, because they like to show off that they have a nice big territory for the female to reside in. So that's what they like to do. So they're very territorial as well. Male bearded dragons don't like sharing their space with anything other than, well, a pretty lady. Because sharing your resources means that there's going to be less for you. So oftentimes, they will chase off other competing males, but also welcome the occasional female. They're not going to have too many. You know, guys can be picky, but so can the girls.
Have you time for the snake?
I know someone's looking forward to something in a minute. So, what resources do they need to take care of? Well, for one, shelter. Having a good shelter is very important for them. It's also food and water. And you guys might wonder, what does a bearded dragon eat? Many of you might assume just bugs. Well, they are something called omnivores. Omnivore is an animal that eats not only fruits and veggies, but also meat. So a bearded dragon will eat different fruits and veggies they can find in the wild, but also a variety of meat and bug items. They're not that picky. Bearded dragons are also really super cool because they have really, really good climbing abilities. So I don't need to hold her at all when she's on my shirt like this. See? No hands. I don't know if you're going to talk into the mic at all, my dear. If you hear any muttering, it's her. So they're really good climbers. They have what I like to call rock climbing fingers. Really sharp claws and fingers that allow them to climb up rough terrain like rocks and trees. Because rocks and trees hold food and shelter. It's really funny too because in Australia, people that have, say, brick or cinder block houses will actually see them climbing up the side of their house so that they can get to the second floor to sit in the windowsills because they're nice and warm, and also it gets them away from the ground where predators might be. So oftentimes someone might open up a window in the morning and ta-da, there's a bearded dragon sitting on your windowsill and they're just greeting you saying, hey, what's up? Good morning. Got any coffee?
Why would they do that?
Just saying hi to the neighbors.
And saying, and got some coffee.
Yep.
Do they even drink coffee?
I hope not. They're hyper enough as is. They don't need any more caffeine. Jake here is really funny. She has a great personality. She likes hanging out and being held. Oftentimes in the morning when we go in to open up the rescue and say hi to her, she'll walk up to the front of her enclosure and just smack her hand right on the front of the window so that we come over and take her out, and we'll do our rounds in the morning checking on all the animals with her on our shoulder, kind of perusing her territory and saying hello to all her neighbors. Bearded dragons are a great starter animal for anybody that is looking to start off with an exotic animal. They're very forgiving in their care, so if you have a little bit of a hiccup in your care, if your temperature is off a little bit, if you don't quite have the right setup, it's okay. They're very strong and they'll bounce back very fast from it. They also don't need to be fed every single day, so they can have a diet that's spread out more. So you don't need to worry, oh, did I feed the bearded dragon today? As long as you're feeding them periodically throughout the week, you're pretty good. They're also, well, they don't smell and have fur, so it's pretty hypoallergenic, so that's a plus. And as well as the fact that, like I said before, they have great personalities. I love them because of the amount of sass and just overall personality that can fit in this small of a package. Ladies, they make really great companions because they'll give a little bit of like a companion side eye to your husband when you're judging him on things. Nothing is more judgmental than a bearded dragon's side eye. They're also great for kids because it helps them learn a sense of responsibility as well as giving them a really nice companion, because these guys do make great companions. Once they find their person, basically they don't want to ever leave their side. They consider it their best friend and their cuddle buddy, because they also do like to cuddle. As a warm-blooded species, they do benefit from interacting with us. So they get a nice toasty heat pack out of us, and we get a nice little cuddle buddy that'll watch cartoons in the morning with us. All right, are there any questions about bearded dragons? Yes?
Why are they so good at climbing?
Why are they so good at climbing? Because they have to be really good climbers in the wild to find food and shelter.
And also to get away from predators.
Exactly. Yes?
why don't they have to get fed every day?
Why don't they have to get fed every day? That's a very good question. It's something called, and pardon the fancy word, your metabolism. Or
They're not always hungry all the time anymore.
No, not at all. So the metabolism in your body is, think of it as the engine that runs your body. It makes sure that things are running and things are going. And when you run an engine, you need to give it fuel, right? Well, our engine runs a lot and really, really fast. So we need a lot of fuel for it. That's why we need to eat 3 times a day. A lizard or a snake, their metabolism, their engine goes a lot slower, so they don't need as much food. So they don't need to eat every single day. There are some animals that don't need to even eat every single week. Some of them only need to eat once a month. Isn't that crazy?
Crazy.
Yeah. Any other questions? And adults, you guys are welcome to ask questions too. It's not just for the kids. Let's go with the purple.
Why do they have pretty colors?
Why they have pretty colors? Because humans picked out what color they like things to look like. So we like things that are very pretty and fun to look at. So we tend to encourage that kind of a look in an animal. All right, one more question from you, bud.
Why do here dragons and sit on windowsills?
Because windowsills are warm, they're really far off the ground, so it's safe. And sometimes, windowsills have bugs, so bed and breakfast.
Or you could just go up there onto the roof.
They sometimes will go up to the roof too, but like I said, depends on where they want to go. All right.
Has a lot of bugs in it.
It does. All right, one more question. Did you have one? Yep. What's your question then, honey?
Them can change to different colors.
Can they have 2 different colors? Yes, they can. They come in a variety of different colors, from tan and brown to a bright orange like this. Some of them even have a black and a red coloration. That color in a reptile is called its morph. So an animal can have tons of different morphs. All right, let's say bye to Jake, and we're going to say hello to our next friend. I don't have a porcupine, unfortunately, buddy. What I do have is another animal you were asking about, a snake. Everybody, meet Donut the ball python. Donut is actually a lifetime resident of J&R. She came to us as an egg, and we hatched it, and so 3 years ago, she was born at J&R, and she's been a resident with us ever since. The reason why she's called Donut is because when she was born, I was told that she kind of sat in a little circle in our manager's hands, and because she just came out of the egg, she was still wet, so she looked like a glazed donut. And she's sweet as one too. Ball pythons are a species native to Africa, Northern Africa to be specific. They're called ball pythons because when they're scared, they'll actually kind of turn themselves into a little ball and hide their head within their coils. They are a constrictor species, meaning that they take their body and they wrap it around their food item and they squeeze super tight until that animal is done, and then they'll swallow that food whole. And you want to know how they're able to do that with such a small little head? They have a very special jaw, where their jaw is able to stretch super, super wide around their food so they can eat something as big as the thickest part of their body. So that's like me being able to eat a rotisserie chicken in one gulp. Doesn't that save time from chewing, guys? You can gulp down your dinner and then you can go play. Sounds like a very fun little program. So ball pythons are also super cool because they have a second nickname, the royal python. And it's not because they have a castle somewhere, as much as I wish Miss Donut here had a castle. It's because these guys used to hang out with Cleopatra, the Queen of the Nile. she used to wear them like living jewelry. So she used to have them around her wrists, around her neck like a necklace, or on top of her head like a crown. Because these guys are super pretty. They can come in quite a few different appearances, just like the bearded dragons can. They have the largest assortment at 7,200 different combinations of appearances. I wish I had a closet that big. I don't know about you guys. They're also super cool because these guys also make a great starter animal for anybody that's looking to own a snake, because they're very gentle, they're very sweet, and they're also very hardy. I love them, and it's a little bit biased because I have a ball python myself, but he is one of my best friends. He likes to cuddle, sit on the couch and watch TV, and judge my boyfriend on his clothing appearances. And it's very funny seeing a 6-foot-tall man go into the other room and ask a snake, does my shirt look good? And then go back to the closet because he thought the snake wasn't impressed. These guys do live a very long time. A bearded dragon will usually live around 15 years, but the ball python will live an average of 40 years. The oldest recorded ball python was 67 years old. So they can be a very long time companion if you take care of them the correct way. They do also get pretty big. Not as big as some snake species, but a female ball python, like Donut here, can grow to be around 4.5 to 5 feet long, and about as thick as a Coke can, so that's pretty big. A male ball python will usually be a little smaller at 3.5 to 4 feet long. That's because females are usually the bigger of the two genders when it comes to snakes, because they're the ones that take care of the nest after they lay eggs. And you guys see how she's been flicking her tongue around, going blip, 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 or like that. So she's actually smelling the air with her tongue, or kind of. What she's doing is she's flicking her tongue out, collecting the smells on the air, bringing it into her mouth and touching it to something on the roof of her mouth called the Jacobson organ. It translates smell into taste. So that way she can tell what's in the area. And because her tongue is split in two, it'll tell her which direction something's coming from. So she could say, I smell a mouse over there, or I smell a predator in that direction. So it could tell her a lot about her environment. And you want to know something really, really cool about the Jacobson organ, guys?
Yeah.
Every single one of us has one too. Have you ever walked into a restaurant or a kitchen, it smelled so good you could taste it? Yeah? That's your Jacobson organ. Ours isn't as strong as a snake's is, but we can still use it.
Smell a pickle.
I'm glad you can smell pickles. Pickles are good.
I want from my house.
Yes. So now you guys can say that you can smell just like a snake can. And it's also your excuse to stick your tongue out for the rest of the day. Just for today, though. And parents, you can stick your tongue out back now for some reason. All right. Are there any questions about ball pythons? Yes?
Is that a poisonous snake?
She is not poisonous or venomous. She's a constrictor, so she relies on her muscles, not any sort of toxin, which makes her a great cuddler. Yes?
What type of patterns do they come in?
Like I said, there's over 7,200 different types of patterns and colors. Sort of like a mix and match situation. So there are tons of different patterns. I can't even name off the top of my head. There's so many. Yes?
Do some snakes sometimes eat their eggs after they're born?
Do they eat their eggs? You mean, do the baby snakes eat their eggs after they come out?
No, when do the grown
Some snakes will eat eggs, depending on the type of egg or the type of snake. But some of them do eat eggs, but not their own.
Snake, yes.
Some snakes can, some snakes don't like eggs. Everybody has their preferences when it comes to food.
Sound like Komodo dragons.
Yeah, but they're not snakes. All right, what's your question, honey?
When I'm in the bathroom, can stick up and hide from us.
When they're in the grass, can they hide? Yeah, some snakes do actually kind of try and blend in with the grass, like grass snakes. They're able to use their coloration to kind of poke their head up but still look like a leaf of grass. All right, I saw a hand back here. Did you have a question, honey? Well, maybe at the end if we have time. All right, I will do one more question. Yes?
Our pets eat snakes.
Do pets eat snakes?
Our pets eat snakes.
Your pets eat snakes. Well, everybody needs to eat. All right, let's say bye to Donut.
Bye, donut. Donuts are so nice.
All right, who's ready to see a special animal? It's in a very cool club, the same club as sharks and alligators. Do you think it's big and scary?
No.
Yeah, she's kind of small. And her name is Lola Lemonade. Lola Lemonade here is a leopard gecko. This is the third easiest animal for beginners. So the little trifecta is bearded dragons, ball pythons, and leopard geckos. These guys are super cool because they're also from Australia. So they're not quite like other geckos. They don't have the super sticky fingers that some of them have. They have the rock climbing fingers just like the bearded dragons do. And I told you that they can climb rocks. So bearded leopard geckos, like I said, they're in the super special club like sharks and alligators. It's all because of their teeth. They can lose and regrow their teeth throughout their lifetime, just like a shark and alligator can. Geckos are also super cool because of their tail. So you might look at this tail and you say, well, it's just a tail. What does it do? It does a couple things. The first is it's emergency food. She can store all of her fat in her tail, which I mean, to be able to select where your fat goes is a very interesting and lovely trait. So if she needs to, if she's stuck in her house for a very long time, whether it's because there's a predator outside, if the weather's really bad, or if it's really hard to find food because it's really hot outside, she can survive off of the fat in her tail for about a month. And it can also act as a one-time use get out of jail free card. So if there's something scary coming along and it wants to eat her or get her,
Dog.
like a dog, what she can do is she can pop her tail off, and the tail, because it has a special set of muscles, will continue to move after it's been popped off. That's like me coming up to scare one of you guys and your foot all of a sudden drops off and starts bouncing across the ground by itself. I'm going to be very distracted while you're making a getaway. And that's the point, is to distract whatever's chasing them. But you might say, well, she just lost her tail, so she lost the emergency food storage. Well, it's worth it to live another day. But don't worry too much because she will regrow part of her tail. A leopard gecko can regrow about half of their tail, which means half the food storage. So it doesn't look exactly like the tail like this. It looks like someone started drawing it and then stopped halfway. So you'll be able to tell when a leopard gecko has lost their tail. But they can only drop and regrow their tail once. So like I said, it's a one-time use. So they only use it if it's super, super important to do it.
Oh, like if it was in the wild,
Yep.
and a jaguar was chasing it, it could pop its tail off.
Well, they don't live where there's jaguars. And remember, let's stay quiet until it's question time, okay?
Well, if there was,
Sweetheart.
it had
Thank you so much. So, you might wonder also, why are they called leopard geckos? It's because of, well, the pattern that's usually found on them is a spotted leopard appearance, even though they're nowhere near the same habitat as the actual leopard. So you might also ask, what do they eat? Bugs. She eats crickets, mealworms, beetles, cockroaches, all sorts of types of insects that she can find while rummaging about in her environment. All right. Are there any questions about leopard geckos? Yes?
Why does it grow only is half a tail?
Why they only grow half the tail? Because they can't grow the full tail back. It's sort of like when you're trying to copy a picture, some things might get lost when you're copying a picture. So basically, they can only regrow part of it because that's all they can do. Yes?
Can they walk upside down on the ceiling?
They can't. They don't have the super sticky fingers some geckos do. They have the rock climbing fingers. So instead of being able to stick to walls, they chose to climb up rocks and trees because there's not a lot of smooth surfaces out in the wild in Australia. There's rough surfaces. So they need those claws over the sticky fingers. What's your question, honey?
Can they change the color that their tail is?
Can they change their color? They actually can't change their color. Some reptiles are able to, say, look a little bit different based on how much blood flow is going through their body. That's how.
100 blood going?
Yeah, but so geckos can't change their color of their tail or any sort of part of their body. All right, are there any other questions about geckos? Yes? Oh, did you have one, honey?
Yes. Why do they have why is their tail so long?
Why is their tail so long? They're better to store fat in, my dear. The more tail you have, the more fat you can store, which means the more food you have stored up. So the bigger the tail, the more fat. There's actually a species called a fat-tailed gecko that has a tail that's bigger than their body. All right, let's say bye to Lola. Here we go. All right. Now, do we want to meet another snake?
Yes.
Do we want to meet a snake that is native to Wisconsin?
Yes.
Ta-da!
So cute.
Everybody meet Waldo. Waldo is a hognose snake. You guys might not have seen a snake that looks exactly like Waldo because Waldo is more in the central United States. But he does have a hognose brother or cousin that lives in Wisconsin called the eastern hognose snake. They tend to be a little bit more of a green and black coloration to camouflage with our environment versus Waldo here, who would need to blend in with the rocks and sand in the more desert area in the central United States. Why are they called hognose snakes? Because they have a very special scale in the front of their nose that makes it look like they have a little piggy nose. So if you take your nose and you turn it up just like this and then you look like a little pig, that's kind of what his nose does. But his has a function, and it's not just to look cute, it's actually to dig. He can use that special scale on the front of his nose to dig to find burrows where he can find food, like mice and eggs and insects, because that's what he eats. He is a non-venomous, which means he doesn't have a poison or a venom. He's a constrictor as well, just like Donut. But he doesn't have as much muscle as she does, so he relies on finding smaller food items, like eggs. Yes. The really cool thing about hognoses, too, is they're great actors because it's all part of their plan to help keep themselves safe. Like, say, if you're walking down, taking a hike in the woods, and you see a hognose snake up in front of you, they're going to do two things. The first thing that they're going to do is they're going to puff themselves up, they're going to hiss super loud, and they're going to take their tail, stick it in some nearby rocks or leaves, and they're going to shake their tail around so it sounds like there's a rattle. Because whenever we hear a rattle, we think that's a dangerous snake. We should leave it alone, right? So he's trying to pretend that he's a big, scary snake that he actually isn't. Plan B, if you guys don't believe it. Well, I'll explain. So if you keep going towards them, plan B is to play dead. They'll actually flip themselves over onto their back, stick their tongue out, and release a bad smell so that you think that they're actually a dead snake. Yeah, so they'll play dead. It's pretty funny. But if you say, keep going, you pick them up, and you said, I'm going to just sit here and touch this possibly dead snake. They're going to say, okay, they don't believe me. I'm going to go with plan C, which is to bite and musk. Anything with a mouth has the ability to bite. As long as you don't touch wild animals, you can avoid being bitten, because that's usually their way of saying, hey, I'm scared, I don't like this. And being musked on by a snake is when a snake will aggressively poop on you. It's unfun, it's not very nice, it's very stinky. It's like being sprayed by a skunk, but it comes out of a snake's butt. And I would rather be bitten by a snake over musked on by a snake by how bad it smells.
Look it.
Because a lot of smell can come out of this tiny little man. You would be very surprised. But he's very sweet, so he doesn't really musk unless we really, really get on his bad side, which is usually bath day.
So if we threw him in the bathtub.
Not really. So sometimes a snake needs help shedding, and he gets a nice warm bath for it. He's not a big fan of it, so we usually adjust for it. But if he knows that he's going for one, he tends to get a little bit sassy with us. So hognoses are a little bit more of the advanced animal. They do tend to have a little bit of an attitude, and they can be a little bitey, as I said. So they're not for the beginner animal handling situation. Waldo is a prime example of what happens when you get one with a good attitude. He just likes to hang out and be held and see what's going on. His only bad trait is why he's named Waldo. Because oftentimes I'm yelling, "Where's Waldo?" Because he really likes to hide in his tank. I did too good of a job setting it up, so he can hide very well inside of it. And sometimes I spend around 5 or more minutes searching for him in there, going, "Waldo, where are you?" Because he likes to dig and hide himself underneath his substrate or the dirt in his habitat. And when he takes pity on me, he'll reveal himself and wait for me to notice. It's very funny where he's just basically waiting patiently and being like, "I'm right here. Can you please just turn and look?" All right. Are there any questions? Yes? How much food do they eat? As a snake, he doesn't need to eat a lot. Miss Donut, the ball python, once she's fully grown, she'll only need to eat once a month. Mr. Waldo here eats every 2 weeks. So he only needs to eat one small little mouse once every 2 weeks. And like I said, that's because they have a very slow engine. Yes?
How can they camouflage a lot?
How can they camouflage? Using their color. If you were to go on a beach or somewhere with lots of rocks and sands, do you think you'd be able to spot him?
No.
Exactly. So camouflage is when an animal uses the natural color of their body to hide. So you'd be able to spot him out in the woods here, but his cousin, the one who actually lives here, you would have a very hard time spotting him. And the soccer shirt? How with what?
How can them camouflage?
How can they camouflage? With their color. It's like playing hide and seek, but with colors. Yes?
There's a book named Where's Waldo?
Exactly. That's why we came up with that name.
Funny.
All right. And one more question.
Do other snakes with venom, does that one try to run away from them?
Does he run away from snakes with venom?
Yeah.
He wouldn't normally tussle with other snakes. Other snakes with venom usually have a warning. Something telling you that you shouldn't bother them. So when other snakes or other animals see it, they'll usually leave them alone. And I'll show you what that is in a minute.
What if you could choke them without even touching them?
We don't want to hurt animals because animals are just trying to survive out in the wild, so we'd usually leave them alone. Now, I told you that some animals will tell you when not to mess with them.
Yeah, no.
This is a prime example of don't mess with me colors. When an animal wants you to see them, when they want to make sure that they are visible and they're not trying to blend in with their environment, that's called warning coloration. An animal like this has a bright red color telling you, hey, I'm packing venom. I have a bite that's dangerous. I have a bite that can put you in the hospital. But guess what? She's lying. Pan here is a mimic. She is actually not venomous. She's a milk snake. Milk snakes mimic venomous coral snakes. That's a species that is known to be, well, very venomous and dangerous, and they have a bright red coloration that's very similar to the milk snake. The milk snake has basically chosen to have their color look very, very similar to the coral snake so that they can benefit from the scary reputation that that venomous snake has. But there's a way to tell the difference. And it's usually with a little bit of a jingle. And there's multiple ways that you've probably heard this jingle. If red's next to black, whoop, you're okay, Jack. But if red is next to yellow, you're an unlucky fellow. So if you see the red color touching the yellow color on a snake, it means that you found the coral snake, and you should be leaving that snake alone. If you see the red touching the black, you've most likely found a milk snake. So you should be okay. Just don't bother them, because they're another species that likes to bite and musk if they need to defend themselves. And milk snakes, their musk is very unpleasant, especially because they like to flick their tail to try and get it in your mouth. That way you're too busy losing your lunch in a bush to really deal with them. And you guys might wonder, why are they called milk snakes? It's actually pretty funny. Because these guys are native to North America, a lot of farmers would find them hanging out in their barns. And for some reason, the farmer's first thought was, that snake is here to steal the milk from the cows. I don't know why someone thought snakes like milk, but for some reason that was their thought. I would have thought they're there for the chickens. But really, what the milk snake was doing was, she was hanging on the mic. They were there because the barn offered shelter. It was nice and warm and protected from the elements. There's no big scary predators in there. And there's all these tasty mice walking around. So it's literally a bed and breakfast situation for the snakes. So they were hanging out there because it was a very easy and nice place to live. All right. Please don't go in my shirt. Sometimes they like to go in, she likes to crawl inside of when I'm working at the rescue, I'll wear sweatshirts, and she likes to go inside the pocket of my sweatshirt because then she'll just take a nap in there while I'm cleaning her tank out. So it's a nice, cozy little situation, and if someone was sitting there just carrying me around, I'd be happy to. Are there any questions about milk snakes? Yes?
Why is it called a milk snake?
Because like I said, people thought they were trying to steal milk, so they called them milk snakes. Yes?
Why are they so cute?
Because snakes are just cute. And I mean, look at her little face. She looks like a shoelace with a smile.
Yeah.
Yes?
Why do they want you to think that they have venom?
Because when someone thinks you're scarier than you actually are, you're left alone. So it's nice and safe for you. It's kind of like on Halloween when you dress up as a monster, but you're not actually a monster. All right, in the pink in the back?
It's your best friend.
One moment. Probably not Pan. Pan is a little fast for kids. And she can be a little mischievous. Yes?
Can I see?
You want to see her? Yep, I'll stand right here. What was your question back there, honey?
Why do milk snakes want to mimic coral snakes?
Because coral snakes are dangerous, and if someone thinks you're dangerous, they're going to leave you alone and not try to eat you. So it's basically like a little defense mechanism.
I'm poison resistant.
What's your question, honey?
I got bell document, and it's beautiful, and it's really beautiful.
Oh, thank you for thinking she's beautiful. She knows she's beautiful. She'll often sit in the perfect spot in her enclosure where the sun just hits just right in her tank. And are you trying to take a nap inside this pocket? It's not going to fit you. She'll often sit there and basically just show herself off in like the prettiest spot where the sun comes in, and she's just sitting there waiting and being like, yes, I know I'm pretty. All right.
You opened your pocket.
I opened up the pocket so that I could get her out of there. Let's say bye to Pan. All right. Now then, who likes turtles? Do we want to learn about turtles?
Yeah. What's the turtle?
All right. Everybody, good morning, honey. She was taking a nap. Everybody meet Rose, the three-toed box turtle. This is a species that's native to America. There are many different types of box turtles, but this box turtle is pretty interesting. And how's she in here? Because it's her little house. Hello. Make sure we sit down, bud. I'll come over here. So the three-toed box turtle is called a three-toed box turtle because, well, one, they have only 3 toes on their back foot, which is pretty interesting because usually turtles have 4 to 5 toes. And the reason why she's called a box turtle is because she has this very cool ability to close her shell. So when a turtle is scared, they're going to hide inside their shell, right? But you can still see them. But because of this super special little hinge on her shell, she can close up the front of her shell like a drawbridge. So she can basically close the door on her shell so you can't get in or touch her. So they'll use that as a defense mechanism. There are actually a lot of different species of box turtle, but this one is more commonly found in the education circuit because they're not protected, which means that a lot of other box turtle species are very protected here in America. There are some that you need even permits for. We actually have a little piece of paper that shows that Rose and her sisters were all born under human care to show that we didn't take these animals out of the wild. It's very cute. It looks like a tiny driver's license, but I would not trust any of them to drive, especially Rose. She has road rage issues. I'm kidding. Maybe a little bit. It's very funny. We actually have 4 box turtles, and they're all named after the Golden Girls. And Rose is the smallest and the sassiest of the bunch. I adore her. She also likes getting her shell scratched in the morning. She will stretch out, and you can tell when she's doing good because her little toes just start shaking. So you might wonder, what's a turtle shell made out of? Bone and keratin. Fingernails. Fingernails are made out of keratin, so it's the same thing as that. But their shell's actually part of their body. It's part of their skeleton that decided to form on the outside and fuse with keratin to make this mobile suit of armor. So they can't take their shell off. Their shell is part of their body. So unlike in the cartoons we see a turtle or a tortoise stepping out of their shell, they can't do that. What they can do is use it to protect their body from different predators. They can also use it as sort of like a little house that they can kind of take a nap in and feel nice and safe. And you might wonder, what's the difference between a turtle and a tortoise? It's all in what they eat. A tortoise is an animal that only eats fruits, vegetables, grass, and hay. A turtle will actually eat fruits, vegetables, and meat. Little Miss Rose here is a big fan of worms and fish. So she likes to eat a good amount of meat items, but she also really likes bananas. We'll give bananas to the turtles at the rescue, and they all just start running over to their dish when they see it. They really like banana. One of them likes plunging her whole head into the banana, just going full tilt for it. It's very funny. So I like to do something which kind of gives you a little bit of a lesson on what to do if you ever see a turtle in the wild. Because I heard someone when I got here say that there's a lot of turtles around here right now, right? If you ever see a turtle, you're going to do one of 3 things. The first thing is you're just going to leave the turtle alone. Nature is something that we should admire with our eyes and not our hands because it's very sensitive. And as I said, anything with a mouth has the ability to bite. So just looking at the turtle, say, that's a cool turtle, and then going on your way is very important. The second thing, if we do have to move the turtle because it's in the road or it's somewhere where we're worried about the turtle, You can safely pick them up by the back of their shell like this, or like a tiny hamburger from the sides. Don't actually bite it like a hamburger, you will break a tooth, the turtle will judge you, and then you have to tell your dentist that you tried to chew on a turtle when you have a broken tooth. I know, I don't think anybody wants to tell that kind of a story. When you do move them, don't move them very far. Make sure you can still see where you picked that turtle up from, because they're very sensitive to having a change in their surroundings. If you try to take it a couple miles down the road or say, oh, I'm gonna bring them home and they're gonna live in my backyard, you're turtle napping. Turtles can actually get very sick because they're very scared, and being moved to a new environment can scare them a lot. And some turtles, as I said, are protected, so moving them can get you in a lot of trouble with the DNR. And my little lesson 2.5 is if you see a snapping turtle, don't pick it up with your hands. Use a secondary item like a shovel, a box, a Tupperware, anything, even just a stick to shoot along. They're called snapping turtles for a reason. They're very fast, they can move very well, and they can snap. And I don't want to hear, well, the lady from J&R told me to pick up the turtle and now I'm missing my thumb. So this is the lady from J&R saying don't pick up snapping turtles. The last thing you should do, if you see a turtle or any animal and it's hurt, it's injured, and you're worried about it, call your local DNR. They have all the resources that you guys need to help the animals. They'll send you either to an organization or they'll come up, pick up the animal. Always make sure when you note where you found the animal so it can be returned home after it gets all healed up. Don't try and take it to a pet store or a vet clinic or even to our rescue, because we have something called a USDA license, which means we can't take in wild animals unless we have something called a wildlife rehabilitation license. Same reason why normal people can't take in wildlife either, is because of that license. So always call your DNR to help out your local wildlife. And that is what I like to call my Turtle TED Talk. Thank you for listening to it. Any questions about turtles? Yes?
Turtles are very good Why are turtles very good swimmers?
Some of them are really good swimmers because they have built-in little paddles for their feet. And fun thing, not all turtles can swim. Miss Rose here can't swim. She'd sink like a rock. I would not try to handle a snapping turtle unless you are professional. That snapping turtle probably wasn't very, very happy being hooked, so you would want to let the animal go as soon as possible. If it is hooked in a way that it might have injured the animal, contact the DNR and they'll take the animal to a vet. Well, if it's on the shell, you would still... You don't want to ever catch an animal on accident like that, or like especially a snapping turtle. Fishing is okay, but turtle fishing can sometimes end up with an injury to the turtle. Yes? How they fit their whole body in the shell? Because there's room in the shell for it. So it's like wearing an extra baggy shirt. There's room in there that you can pull your arms inside, right? If you spook them and get too close, yes, they'll hide in their shell. Oops, she's doing the potty dance. One moment. Rose does this little shimmy when she's ready to go to the bathroom to give me a warning to put her down, which I appreciate. Her sisters don't give me warnings, and then I end up with turtle pee on my hands. All right, one more question from you, yeah?
She was trying to swim.
She likes to move her hands around. Rose likes to pretend that she's flying, so whenever I'm carrying her around, she'll stick her feet out and go, oh, as you probably saw her doing. This one is super cool, and I really, really like him. His name is Bob. Everybody meet Bob, the giant African millipede. Everybody, this is a big bug.
Wow.
I know, it's a pretty big bug. And some of you might go, ooh, that's gross. Well, I'm here to tell you why Bob is super cool. Well, for one, Bob is a millipede. Millipede means a bug with 1,000 feet. So he has tons and tons of little tiny feet that allow him to move around his environment. Another reason why he's super cool is he's actually part of the nature cleanup crew. So if there is a plant, a vegetable, a tree that is rotting and falling apart, he's there to help it break down to get back into the cycle of life so we can have more pretty plants, vegetables, and trees growing. Bob is actually there to help decompose things. So he's helping it break it down so it gets back into the soil.
Oh,
Bob doesn't eat any other type of meat items. He also has something called a symbiotic relationship with other bugs, meaning that they are both really good friends and they both benefit from them. Because they have another bug species that will actually come by and clean up their shell for them so that they stay nice and clean. It's like a bug car wash situation. It's pretty funny. But Bob here is also very sweet. I can tell the difference between him and the other bugs because he has a certain little mark on his little armor here. Also because he's the only one that's ever willing to come with me because he knows when we go back to the rescue, he gets a chunk of grape as a reward for coming with me. And he loves grape. He'll actually take it, wrap himself around the grape so that none of his friends can steal it from him. He's not a big morning person right now, so he's just a little sleepy. But I can feel him holding on to me, so he's just like, I'm tired. Hasn't had his morning grape yet, I guess. And that is your tiny little information about a tiny little bug that is super beneficial for the environment. All right, are we ready for the big one?
Yeah.
Are we ready to meet the big animal?
Yeah.
To say hello and hi to her?
I get crowded a lot.
Hi there, honey. How you doing? Good morning.
Everybody, say hello to Sweet Pea.
Hi, sweetie.
Sweet Pea is an Argentine black and white Tegu. This is actually the largest species of Tegu in the world, which she doesn't look too impressive at this size because, well, one, she's a female. Females are half the size of a normal male, so a male would be twice as big as her. She's also missing a good portion of her tail due to an injury when she was tiny, so she's missing a good about 1.5 feet of her tail. But she would be around 3.5 feet long with her tail. A male is usually 4.5 feet long. Tegus are known for their big cheeks, the big muscles on their cheeks that give them a very powerful bite force. A male Tegu's cheeks are actually 5 times bigger than a female because that's what they use to show off how strong they are, to defend their territory, and also to impress the ladies. These guys are an omnivorous species. Does anybody remember what an omnivore means?
Meat and vegetables.
Correct. Fruit, meat, and vegetables. So Miss Sweet Pea here has a nice balanced diet of bell peppers, eggs, small prey items, strawberries, blueberries, and sweet potato. These guys are great climbers and diggers thanks to their super sharp claws, so you always have to be super duper careful when it comes to interacting or handling one like Sweet Pea here. She's pretty used to this, so she's very polite and she knows what to do. So she's very calm in these kind of situations, and she likes traveling around with me to see new places. Fun little fact as well about Miss Sweet Pea is she's actually my personal Tegu. She lives with me. She has her own little area in the corner of the living room with a big fluffy bed where she can stare out the window and watch my neighbors. She gets free reign of my apartment, and she likes to cuddle my boyfriend because he's a human heater and he's a great nap spot for her. So whenever she's sleepy, she goes over to him and just kind of like scratches at his foot to be like, okay, pick me up. And then he'll carry her around for the next 20 minutes while she takes a nap with him. Or if she sees me with the heated blanket, she'll putz right over and be like, I'm joining you. All right. So I'm just going to stand over here with Sweet Pea, and when I say so, then we can all line up. If you guys have any more questions, feel free to ask me. We do adoptions as well as other events. We have some pamphlets over there that you guys can take about more information about the rescue as well as how to contact us. You can use a hand sanitizer after meeting Sweet Pea. Don't use it before, just because I don't need to have the hand sanitizer getting in contact with her skin. And there's also a small jar for donations. We are a small nonprofit, and every little bit helps me continue taking care of the animals and traveling across Wisconsin to reach out to public libraries like this. All right, it was very nice meeting you guys, and if you guys want, you can line up really politely over here to say hi. Kids, make sure that you stay with your parents because I'm sure they're going to want to take pictures.